So we had a situation with an individual last night. I was asleep. I don't know why I didn't cover this whenever it happened, but I remember I saw it, and then I was like, what the fuck? And then I passed out. So I just got up a little bit ago, and I was reading a little bit of the fallout from this and looking at kind of what happened. So basically, there's a guy, his name is Jack, and he does films. His name online is Jacksfilms. And he has been making a number of videos about SSSniperWolf. He is not a fan of SSSniperWolf. Well, you could either say he isn't a fan or he is her biggest fan. Because he makes all of his videos about her. We'll go ahead and we'll look and we'll see here. This guy has spent a lot of time making videos. I don't even know if this is his main channel. It could be another channel that he was doing these videos about her on. I don't remember exactly what this is. Yeah, here we go. And so this is basically a YouTube channel that he's made pretty much for the exclusive reason of, like, making videos about her. Right? And you can see that there is a lot of videos. And so, and he used to, in kind of an ironic way, he used to actually react to TikToks too. And again, like, I think that it's kind of weird to make this many videos about somebody. It definitely is. But it's like, imagine if, like, Dark Viper uploads another video about reactions. I text XQC, I say, let's charter a jet. We're gonna fly over to Australia today. And we're gonna pull up about this. It doesn't matter if somebody makes a bad video about you. You don't show up at their fucking house. You don't dox their location. You don't put their family in danger. This is like, I don't even want to make this a long video because it's not even complicated. It's not. This is fucking insane that anybody thought this was okay. And again, you could make the argument, and I'm not saying that it's true, but I'm sure that she believes that this guy is harassing her. There is a way to resolve that. You can send a copyright strike. You can have a takedown request. You can ask him to stop making videos about you. You can report him to YouTube. You can file a lawsuit. And all 5 of these things are acceptable ways to deal with somebody who you believe is harassing you. Now, what is the forbidden way? Well, that would be showing up at the person's house. SSSniperWolf creeping on other content creators and doxing their homes. And so Jacksfilms, look at Jacksfilms, okay? This is an older guy. How do I know that? Because I am an older guy at this point. We're getting there, right? This guy has a family. He has his own life. So whenever she pulls up, she doesn't just put him in danger. This is his family, his wife, other people in his life that are being put in danger because of her. This is insane. Choosing to pull up and dox family is beyond fuck. She has to be stopped. Yes. And I do think, again, in this video, it goes out his way to credit every creator he finds that the TikToks he reacts to. Listen, I understand that there's nuance. Whenever I talk about how she feels, I'm not talking about how I feel. I'm talking about, from her point of view, this is the way that she might feel, and this is what she would do in order to solve that problem from her perspective. I'm not defending her. I'm simply explaining the thought process that is probably going on in her head. It's unironic empathy. You are assuming? I am assuming. You're right. But that is my assumption. Yeah, I'm not defending him. I'm not saying, oh, I am defending him. I think that what she did is completely over the line. It's totally over the line. Way, way, way too much. Way too much. Like, it's not even remotely close. It's actually, like, super crazy, really bad. And so I made a tweet about this. I said this. I said, SSSniperWolf situation is unacceptable. Anyone who uses their platform to dox and put a person's family in physical danger deserves to be deplatformed. This is an unironic line in the sand and one that should never be crossed. And I said this, and there were a couple of people who responded. I'll go ahead and go through some of those responses, and then we'll talk about some more of the pictures and stuff like that. Also credits creators. Listen, I'm not criticizing Jacksfilms. I'm not saying, like, it's so hard to have a conversation whenever you try to explain somebody's line of thinking and then everybody interprets it as if it's your own line of thinking. Of course there's nuance. But whenever you're the person who it's happening to, a lot of those things get thrown out the window because you feel like you're personally attacked and you're like afraid, right? You're backed into a corner. So please, whenever I'm explaining what's going on in somebody else's head, don't get mad at me for thinking that. That's not what I thought. That's what somebody else thinks. You don't understand what you're explaining her train of thought? Yes, I'm explaining her train of thought. Somebody says explain this in Valorant terms. I said stream sniping and wall hacking at the same time. I think that's true. Somebody here says by no means defending her actions, but Jacksfilms did what Jacksfilms did was borderline harassing her and singling her out when so many people do the same thing. Seems more logical to go after non-transformative reaction content in general instead of a single person until they snap. And then I responded, I said if she thinks she's being harassed, there are designated channels to go through to resolve that, whether it be through the YouTube system or the legal system or otherwise. So you've got to understand that, like, the reason why it's called vigilante justice is because they can't just call it justice, because it's not. Whenever you allow people to take matters into their own hands, you open Pandora's box. And a lot of the people that are saying fuck around and find out grew up in safe suburbs and upper middle class environments and gated communities. Because anybody who's grown up in any sort of a rough area knows exactly what happens whenever one person fucks around and somebody else finds out. And what happens is that's never the end of it. You fuck somebody else over, they pull up with their friends, and then if you're still alive after that, you might do something back to them. This has happened at my school. Like, it happened like 2 or 3 times, and then they put a police station on the campus of my school. Because it was so bad. And guess what? People stopped fucking around. So that's it. There is never a justification for trying to seek some form of vigilante justice. Now, I'm not talking about self-defense. Like, for example, let me go ahead and just give you an example. What if Jacksfilms, after this, decided to just dox her house. He posted her full name, her parents' address, everything. He posted all of that on his public Twitter. Now what? Like, now what do you do? Right? Because, like, then he'd be just as bad. Yeah, but, like, how do you, like, but then what happens whenever somebody takes that and then they, like, I don't know, burn her house down? What happens? Well, you can't have that work. You cannot have a civilized society that functions whenever you have people taking things into their own hands. You just can't do it. We have a system and we have rules to preserve the civilization that we have. And you cannot subvert those because you feel personally aggrieved. That's all there is to it. But Batman can do it. Batman's not real. The system sucks and doesn't do jack shit. Then change the system. That's the thing. You don't like the system? What if everybody who didn't like the outcome of a system thought that it was rigged and they just decided to do whatever they wanted, even despite that? How many people do you think lose lawsuits and think that they deserve to lose the lawsuit? How many people do you think that they deserve to be in jail? Probably almost none of them. But there they are. So imagine what it would be like if every single time you didn't agree with the outcome of a system, that you had the moral authority to just ignore it. The world would be chaos. Nothing could function. Nobody could do anything. So please, understand what you're talking about. What sort of legal action will come from this against her? That's between him, Jack, and SSSniperWolf. I don't really care. I don't know about that. That's not my problem. The problem that I have really is that people are using a public platform to promote this stuff. For not being a politician, you know a lot. You don't need to know a lot. All you have to do is think about it for more than 5 seconds. You don't need to be a genius to think that maybe it's a bad idea to have people settle their own problems all the time. This is common sense. You think about what would happen if everybody... This is a good way to look at things. If you're asking yourself the question, is this good for society as a whole? Ask yourself the question, if everybody did this, could the world function? And I think the answer to that question, if the answer is no, it's probably not good for it's probably not good to do it. I think that that's not a, again, this is not a catch-all, but in general, that's the case. So anyway, in this day and age, when it's understand you never find no more possible. Yes, exactly. And so anyway, she didn't mean to, but you're right, it's common sense. I feel bad for her because she isn't smart enough to realize immediately it was wrong. Of course she realized immediately it was wrong. That's why she posted it. She posted it to assert some degree of, like, I don't think dominance is the right word in this situation, but I think the word is, like, to make him uncomfortable and to scare him. She did that to intimidate him. Yes, exactly, to intimidate. That's why she did it. She did it to intimidate him. So if she's doing something to intimidate somebody, in order to intimidate a person, you have to do something that would scare them or upset them. So by the fact that she is doing this, it implies that she knows that it is bad. Do you see the logic there? Because she wouldn't do this if she thought that it would not stress him out and make him afraid. So how are we supposed to respond to something like this? What would I do? Personally, what I would do, I mean, it depends on, like, if I was him, what would I do? I don't know what I would do. Because, like, I could maybe file a lawsuit, I could do all of these things, but, like, what is the, like, is this really in my best interest? Right? Do I really want to follow through with a 6-month lawsuit over some crazy girl that I made videos about on the internet, right? Is this really what I want to do with my life? So I would think about this, right? I don't know if that's the right decision or not. I'm sure Jack has a better idea about it than I do because it's his life and not mine. However, I do think that, like, if she's posting this on Instagram and she's doing this kind of stuff on other platforms, she should be banned. It's not even a question. I feel like this is one of the 10 commandments of the internet, and she broke it. You don't do this. You cannot have a world where people do this. And yet she isn't. Why? Because it just happened. That's why it just happened. So, like, big surprise, they're not going to just immediately make, like, make a decision on this. Like, she's a very big content creator. They're probably going to have a meeting about it. They're probably going to look into it, look at, like, what their liability is. Because you've got to look at it from Instagram's point of view, right? Because, like, from Instagram's point of view, if they ban her, then they also acknowledge that what she did was bad. So not only do they acknowledge what she did is bad, they acknowledge that they had knowledge that she did it, which could make their plausible deniability, if there's a lawsuit that implicates them, lower, and it could put them at risk. Really? And it's a weird little situation, isn't it? But there it is. Probably a minor suspension. Big companies don't care about this shit unless it impacts adversely. Yes, exactly. So I'm sure it's a very complicated decision for them. Absolutely. That's why I think YouTube never banned Quantum, for the same reason. It's plausible deniability that they had no idea. But yes, I do think that people should be deplatformed for this kind of behavior. There should be a literal zero tolerance rule for it. There are a lot of times that people have made videos that are critical of me, and I have refrained from showing up at their house. I've managed to do this. So I think that that's something that we should expect from everybody. And that's it. It's not even a question. Yeah, it's a self-control. Yes, exactly. It's insane. And also, like, what if, like, for example, what if she had shown up at Jack's house and Jack just shot her? What then? You see kind of Do you see how this immediately unravels? In Texas, that's legal, right? Yes, as it should be. I am a big fan of fuck around and find out if you show up at somebody's house. Absolutely. I am a supporter of that 100%. The way you solve that, oh, I'm worried this might happen to me, just don't go to people's houses. Just don't show up at people's houses, try to attack them, right? Problem solved. Don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. It's just that simple. I just want to explain how fast something like this can unravel and how dangerous it is to allow a person to do this on the internet. This is a massive problem, and if it's not resolved, like remember that one guy that showed up at Boogie's house? And then Boogie shot that gun, he shot a warning shot. Very stupid decision by Boogie. But again, that would have never happened if that dude didn't show up at his house. Should have never happened. And Boogie got jailed? Exactly. Because you can't fire warning shots out. What if that shot killed somebody? You cannot, you can't do this. It's not how the world works. It's just simply not. Show people's houses unannounced. Well, it's also like unannounced trying to start trouble. I think that's really a big difference, isn't it? Internet should never go into the real world. Well, it should never go into the real world in this way. There are designated channels to resolve situations like this. Did he fire a warning shot into the ground? No, he fired it in the air, which was the problem. Like, again, this is, if he fired into the ground, I wouldn't have really complained, right? Because, like, nobody could have gotten hurt. But it's just that he put people at risk. It was stupid, right? It was stupid of him to do. But again, like, if you ask Boogie, he'd say it was stupid, right? So everybody is in agreement that it's stupid. But the point is that whenever you create situations like this, you open Pandora's box. And you never know what's going to happen. And I see that there are some people that are making tweets like this whenever they say this is really ironic, whenever you realize the guy has been nonstop posting about SniperWolf for 2 months straight with no break. I am far from a SniperWolf fan, but it's made me lose a ton of respect for Jacksfilms. Actual weirdo behavior, and I don't blame her, to be honest. I mean, I think this, the part that I highlighted, it's totally okay to say this. This is totally justified. And yes, these are a lot of videos. This is it's a bit much, right? But this is not acceptable. There's definitely weirdo behavior, so we got a weird response. No, this isn't a weird response. I mean, again, I think that the people who justify this kind of stuff, again, live in safe suburbs, upper middle class areas, gated communities. This is something like, oh, they think it's going to be fine. What if it's not? Talk about our character and not our personal identity. It's different. Well, I'm just saying. The reply is not reading it. Yeah, because trying to deplatform someone and being scared to talk face-to-face with them as a grown man is so noble. I don't think he's scared. He just doesn't want to. Why would he want to? Yeah, it's literally that simple. Yeah, every time that somebody doesn't want to deal with you, it doesn't mean that they're afraid of you. They probably just don't want to deal with you. So, yeah. There it is. Who responded to that person? Who cares? That person's an idiot. It doesn't matter. Like, I really don't, like, I don't want to make, like, I just used that tweet as an example to talk about something. So, that's pretty much what I think about this. I don't really want to go on a really long video about it, because I think the longer that I talk about it, the, you know, maybe the weaker the message might become. This is absolutely weirdo behavior. This is unacceptable. Anybody who is doing this should be deplatformed. And I think that this is, again, one of the only commandments of the internet, that you do not take things like this and turn them into real life. This is insane. This is way over the line. If every single time somebody made a negative video about me, like, imagine, all right, anybody who doesn't like React content, I'm going to show up at your house. No, that's not how it works, guys. That's not how the world works. This is insane. What happens on the internet stays on the internet. And on top of that, there are channels that you can go through. If she feels like she is being harassed, there are channels to go through. There are ways to resolve this problem. It is not an issue. She can resolve it. You're only mad because you hate women. You'd be fine with it if she was a guy. Yeah, well, tell that to Quantum. Yeah, true. I mean, does she pull the sexism card a lot? Is that what she does? Like, I don't know. I'm out to watch her. The problem is, like, there are people on the internet that are genuinely sexist against women, and they criticize women 10 times harder than men whenever it's the same situation. It does happen. But, like, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater whenever you say that all of the criticism that you receive is because of sexism. Yeah, I'm sure some of it is. But, like, that's not really the majority, is it? And even if it is there a point to it besides that or not? Whether it be through a legal system or otherwise, bro, that otherwise comment falls under this shit that she did by get your message, pointing out for others, or otherwise? No, otherwise does not actually, no, whenever I said otherwise, I did not actually mean showing up to the person's house physically. No, that's not what I meant. And also, by the way, doesn't SSSniperWolf have a criminal record where she was arrested for armed robbery? If I'm Jacksfilms, I don't want to go talk to her. Because maybe she has a gun. She's a, yeah. I don't want to do that. Like, what? I don't know what's going to happen. Fuck that. Think about that. It's insane. Convicted of armed robbery, she's not legally allowed to own a firearm? Yeah, well, you're not legally allowed to shoot people either, are you? But somehow people end up doing it all the time. So it's crazy how you can't just expect people to follow the law. It's another crazy situation. Do you know, well, maybe we should just make shooting people illegal and that way the problem would go away, right? Think about it, man. Can't legally own. Yeah, exactly. She's been arrested twice? Yeah, I mean, who knows what happened? I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is, like, I would be uncomfortable around a person like that trying to show up at my house. When Elon Musk was being doxxed, he was criticized for banning the dude that tracked him, even after he was attacked. In my opinion, that's double standards. What did I say about the Elon Musk thing? No, you're talking about double standard. What did I say? I was supporting Elon Musk. I thought the person was doing it maliciously, and I found it to be very weird that it was happening. There is no reason that it needs to be public knowledge in real time where a person's helicopter or airplane is landing. I think that a airport knowing that is totally fine, but dedicating your entire presence online to giving somebody's real life location as like in real time, this is very dangerous, especially for somebody who's as well known and well liked and well hated as Elon Musk. I completely supported him in that, and this is the exact same. It is weirdo behavior. I don't care if it's public information or not. You're putting somebody in danger, and he's doing it because it puts him in danger. That's why he's doing it. I could talk about that more, but there's no double standard here, okay? So just so everybody is clear, I'm shitting on SSSniperWolf. I shit on Nadia for the same thing. I shit on the Elon Musk guy with the airplane. I shit on Quantum. I've shit on everybody who's done this. I am completely fucking consistent about this. So sit the fuck down. Stop trying to, oh, but what abouts? Stop it. Trying to gotcha this. People always try to think they're smart, man. Jesus, try to think they're fucking smart. No, you're not. Why do they do this to you all the time? Because I'm a person who gives my opinions out with a very high degree of confidence, and it makes some people uncomfortable. Because they don't like the fact that they have somebody like me that sits here and just talks about what I think like it's a matter of fact. And they like to contradict me, and they like to try to argue with me because they see that people listen to me, and they don't like that because they think that people should listen to them instead. But the reality is that the reason nobody listens to them is because they're fucking morons. And they don't know what they're talking about, and they don't have a single thought in their fucking head. That's why. I love that her response is, I don't even know how to dox. Well, if somebody gets in a car and they don't know how to drive and they run somebody over, did they run somebody over or not? I mean, it's just like, I can't imagine. Like, what a stupid thing to say. Oh my God. And also, then how'd you get the address? And also, if you don't think it's bad, then why did you post it publicly? Why didn't you send it to him personally? It's because her intention was to make him uncomfortable and make him unsafe. Have you seen the people defending her? It's even more crazy. Well, the problem is that this is not not a battle between good and evil. It's a battle between, like, evil and kind of like an asshole. Like, I do think that, like, to a certain degree, like, making this many videos about somebody is kind of weird. I do. I think it's kind of weird. So, this is an imperfect victim. It is. He is an imperfect... He like... I would say shouldn't. He can do whatever he wants. It's his freedom of speech, right? And if she thinks that he's infringing on some right that she has to not be harassed or whatever, then she has there's a channel to resolve that. But what I'm saying is that, yes, obviously people see all these videos and they're like, well, of course, you know, like if you harass somebody this much, they might do something negative about it. I can see where they're coming from, but that doesn't make it okay. There are a lot of times where a person's bad action is understandable, but simultaneously not acceptable. So, like, a lot of times whenever somebody gets fucked with in real life and they just beat the shit out of somebody, it's understandable, but it's not acceptable. We can't let that happen. Because, again, the world would fall apart if we did. Jack called her out, then she tried to say that he was jealous because he's not as successful as a woman, and now he's proving his point. Yeah, I don't know. He's just as creepy, just not as high on the spectrum. Yeah, I mean, you could say that, sure. But, like, again, putting somebody in physical, like, danger is, like, very different than making a YouTube video about the person. Made a lot of videos about her. He did. True. Wasn't SniperWolf using others to play games on her behalf back in the day? So, here. Let me explain something to you. So, if you zoom in right here, this right here is how bad I think showing up to somebody's houses and doxing them. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to show you how important I think what you're talking about is. Now, if you look at this individual pixel here, you'll see that I do think that it is important. But I just want to provide a frame of reference for you to understand how insignificant and unimportant having somebody play a video game. Who the fuck cares? It's a fucking video game. Who cares? This is what the fuck? Who gives a fuck about this? Like, it's not even in the same universe as showing up at a person's house. I find that there's also, like, a certain level of, like, sexism of low expectations whenever people expect that whenever a woman acts, like, insane or does something bad, that it's a little bit more acceptable because she's a woman. I find this to just be bigotry of low expectations, and I think that it's disgusting. She is a grown woman. She is an adult. She's not 19 either. It's not like she's just barely an adult, right? She's like in her 20s. I think she's in her late 20s. What are we talking about here? She's 30. Yeah, she's 30 years old. This is insane. It's infantilizing women. It is. Why does gender have anything to do with this? Because sometimes women who are bad actors will use their gender as a shield to protect themselves from criticism whenever people don't like what they're doing. That's why. There's a lot of women that do that. I think that it does a disservice to every other, you know, good faith actor. It's very problematic, and I think it should be called out immediately. I think it promotes sexism more than anything else. Nothing promotes resentment for other people than whenever other people have privileges that they don't deserve. That creates more sexism than anything that Jacksfilms ever is going to do. Sniper's X makes more sense now. He knew, guys. He knew. I don't know. I mean, what the fuck? I have no idea. Like, I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't do stuff like this, right? It's not really that complicated, right? I mean, I don't know what happened between their personal relationship. Who cares? It's not my problem. Should have a conversation with Jacksfilms. I feel like I would be willing to do that if, like, he really wanted to, sure. But, like, I don't think that we really need to. He's on the same page, I'm on the same page, and I'm gonna be honest. Thankfully, everybody's on the same page with this. Everybody agrees this is really bad. Like, there's almost nobody who's tweeting out, oh, it's okay that this happened. Like, yeah, there's like 3 or 4 people doing that have like tweets that are getting ratioed like 50 times in the comments. But for the most part, no. Everybody is like universally against this. Like 99% to 1, something like that. Definitely more than 90 to 1 from what I've seen on the sentiment online. And I think that's a great thing. I'm glad the internet's come together and has been able to draw a line in the sand with this, because I think that's what people need to do. Absolutely not acceptable. This is problematic, and I do hope that there is an actual resolution for this. And I don't know what I would do if I was Jacksfilms. I'm not sure. But, yeah. Overall, what do you think should happen to her? I think that the platform that she did it on, she should be banned from that platform. Like, if she's posting this on Instagram, she should just be unequivocally permanently banned. Without, like, maybe you can appeal it in, like, 5 years or something like that. I don't know. But, like, indefinitely suspended. Gone. Because it also opens Instagram up to a lot of liability. It does. Like, the idea that you're having people on your platform that are just, like, posting this shit, this makes Instagram a tool that people use to break the law and to put other people in physical immediate danger. I agree with you. She used to be deplatformed, shameful behavior. Yeah. She has a history of this bad behavior. I just, again, I feel like the past, you know, all the other stuff is like a, you know, tiny amount of this. Nobody wants to deal with the consequences of their actions. Yes, exactly. She shouldn't be able to appeal, just like there are no appeals in hardcore WoW. Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say, like, I mean, forever, like, some sort of, like, fucking, like, banished to the Shadow Realm for, like, all eternity. Like, I don't know. I mean, people commit murder and they get out of jail eventually, right? Like, I'm not saying that, but I think indefinitely for sure. I love how, like, everybody is shitting on SniperWolf for this thing. It's actually so funny to me that, it's like, this is one of the first times, or one of the only times that, like, YouTube, everybody on YouTube is pretty much, like, universally agreed on that, like, the person's totally in the fucking wrong. Yeah, it's funny because, like, I remember people were saying that, like, SniperWolf was this terrible person. And I remember I was even kind of defending her. And I was saying, like, oh, I mean, you know, faking gameplay, like, who cares? This is, like, a video. It's, like, it's a video game. Like, who gives a shit? But, like, then, now this happens, and it's like, oh, man, this is totally different. Yeah, it's way worse than that, exactly. Oh, my God. Shadasta guy, she needs to get yeeted off YouTube, but they don't care. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Still don't know who SniperWolf is. Remember seeing her video titles and thumbnails and thinking that it was for the best? Yeah, maybe. She went to Jacksfilms, someone posted a picture of his house to Instagram and posted, let's talk like adults. Yeah, exactly. Overrated content creators getting taken down a peg, not surprising. Well, I don't really care about taking somebody down a peg. I think that, like, the only people that care about taking content creators down a peg are, like, insecure, weird losers. Like, I'm talking about somebody that should get suspended or banned for doxing. Like, or showing up at somebody's house. Like, this isn't somebody that has, like, a big ego or an asshole. This is a fucking... This is, like, a direct threat on somebody's physical safety. Yeah, this is totally different, man. Someone sniper in the name should not stalk anyone. Yeah, true. Can YouTube ban someone for something they did on Instagram? YouTube can ban her for whatever they want. But, like, will YouTube ban her? I think it's a very complicated question, right? Whether they should actually ban her or not, or whether they will. I think that, like, 100... The one thing that I am confident 100% at saying is that Instagram should ban her. Because she did it on Instagram. She's one of their biggest cash cows. SniperWolf probably accounts for 0.01%, less than that, of YouTube's income. It's actually crazy. Like, if you look, for example, 181 million views, okay. So let's look and see how many people actually watch YouTube per day. All right, so she gets a lot of views here. Used to get a lot more. So let's see how many views How many views does YouTube get a day? 1 billion hours of video every single day. How many YouTube videos are watched? 5 billion videos are watched on YouTube every day. So the idea that YouTube is protecting her because they're worried about losing money is insane. This is just like, no, they're not. Like, even the biggest content creator, like, I don't think people realize how big YouTube really is. I mean, it's just like, even the biggest content creator, somebody like Mr. Beast or PewDiePie, is like a drop in the ocean. Because YouTube is a massive global worldwide presence that millions of people use, billions of people use, that don't even speak English. YouTube doesn't want to ban people that make them money, but YouTube also, it's so, like, here's a good way to look at it, right? YouTube doesn't want to ban people that make them money. You're right about that. But to the extent that this person creates a tangible effect on YouTube's image or YouTube's advertising, that tangible effect is so infinitely larger than that person's contribution to their money and their income that it's like nothing. It's not worth it ever. Yeah, they're min-maxing. Would you say she could receive the Russell Brand treatment by demonetizing her videos? I don't know. If you want me to be honest, I don't think they should have demonetized Russell Brand. I think this is very dangerous that a person based off of allegations gets totally demonetized. It's like somebody gets basically fired from their job over something like this. Very dangerous. Is that I don't think that you should expect the world to ostracize a person and deny them and take away their employment just simply because you don't like something that they did or you think that they did something. I think that the only people that should be really holding a person accountable should be the government. The government are the ones that can, you know, they can arrest him, they can sue him, they can put him in jail. I don't want to see people pressuring these like companies to like take somebody's monetization away because of something that happened on Twitter. Now, there's a certain level where like, yeah, maybe it's okay, but I don't think that the Russell Brand stuff was really enough. And I think especially whenever it's serious crime allegations like that, this should be something that's decided in a court of law. This shouldn't have anything to fucking do with YouTube demonetization. It's outrageous that it's even part of the conversation. I don't want to see somebody just like an allegation comes out about someone, even if it's very, very, very compelling. Like an allegation comes out about somebody and they just lose their employment. An allegation should not mean anything. And also it doesn't mean, you have to remember, like that doesn't mean that he's innocent. But it means that he's innocent until proven guilty. Which I like the sound of that. I think that's a good way of doing things. Personally, yeah, I think that's just a good way of doing things. Most of them are already debunked. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, let's say you debunk 30, there's 40 of them and you debunk 39. I mean, then there's still one. You think it's a byproduct of the Me Too movement? Indirectly, sure, but I don't really think so. Not directly, no. People don't understand the precedent that would set. Exactly. Advertisers don't want their name associated with people who have done something that hideous. What I'm saying is that I think if YouTube, so this is the reason why I thought that it was a mistake for YouTube to have done it too, is that it creates a point on a graph that shows what YouTube is willing to demonetize over. So now every person who is above or below that point is getting graded against it. So YouTube just provided like a frame that everybody can look at and be like, hey, this is the precedent that you set. Why aren't you doing it for this person too? Like, for example, why is it okay that Russell Brand gets demonetized, but Cardi B, who admitted to having sex and taking drugs from guys or money from guys that were drunk, like basically raping them and stealing their stuff, why is it that she's not? What's the logic there? She drugged him and sold him. Yeah, exactly. And so this is again the problem. That's why I'm not a fan of it. Because you know the answer, and I don't say it. Oh, because she's like not white and she's a woman. I don't know. Maybe that's probably part of it. But I think the biggest reason is just simply because she's a very big celebrity that's liked in the media. Because the company, you have to understand, YouTube doesn't care about Russell Brand's situation, and they also don't care about Cardi B. Both of these people are totally irrelevant. It's like nothing to them. But the reality is that because Russell Brand looks bad, and she doesn't, well, then they get rid of Russell Brand and not her. Because all they care about is how things look, not what they are. That's it. Yeah, it's all about their public image. They don't really care about any of these topics or problems at all. Don't agree that someone could say something and ruin somebody's life with no proof, let the courts decide? Yeah, I think so too. Russell Brand lost his channel because the UK government stepped in? Yeah, I heard about that with like the Rumble stuff. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, going back to the Sniper Wolf thing, I think Instagram should 100% ban her. Like, if I was Instagram, I would just be like, okay, no. Like, no, you're not gonna post, you're not gonna dox people on our platform, get the fuck out of here. Like, I honestly, I don't even understand how this is a conversation. It is upsetting to me that people are even talking about this. They're like, oh, I wonder if this is good or not. It's insane. It's not the same. She makes music and she doesn't have a conspiracy podcast. So you think that somebody should just be demonetized for not believing what the government tells you to believe? No, I don't agree with that. I mean, also, like, again, like, they live in the UK. UK doesn't have freedom of speech in the same way that that America does. But I'm an American, and I'm glad to be one whenever especially things like this come up. I'm glad that we have this. I'm glad that it's the way it is here.